What's good, everybody? Peace and love. Back again. Hope y'all are well. Thought I'd come on here real quick and share some funny posts I made recently. Kind of comedy for smart people. Here's a good one. Huh, 2010. And what are they talking about in the news right now? Probably gonna be a FF. Fukushima 2.0, something like that. Is this thing focused? What's going on? Oh, this is a funny one. One question regarding the Scientologists. Do they wear the mask? All I want to know. Unfreaking believable. As I thought, go figure. Check them out. Look, what do we got here? We got one. Duh, look, he's anti. This is hilarious. Look, there they are, selling it. You gotta sell it, you know? Oh my goodness, this is funny. Look, how dare they? They tried to mask shame him repeatedly. Said, not this guy. Nope, we only promote it behind the scenes. We don't really, you can't. Oh, that classic. That is hilarious. Oh, and then this is what I was gonna get to. Actually, before I start showing this, I'll just show this a little bit, but this, the reason I'm showing this, and then what I was gonna actually say, I wanted to tweet this post. This is kind of a dedication video in a way to Jay with Open Eyes that caught this initial information about this. Or he just picked up on because they had it on the flyer from the little like escapade the other month or whatever, but the AstraZeneca world. And then yeah, like since then they've actually came out with a bunch of these articles about this and like all these science and news publications. And it's actually pretty darn funny if you connect all the dots like I am here, because I'll show you my meme that I developed. No, but the what I was gonna make this video more about was because I couldn't retweet or share the post, but Jay had one today hinting at the next variation, which is why I'm showing this, because if you read into all this, it like has to do with all that, like genetic evolutionary characteristics. But yeah, I made this, the Raffauciaceae, however you say it. Let me see if I can pronounce it. Raffauciaceae. 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 This was my original meme that I made. I'm putting the stinking corpse lily right on his head. But yeah, let's see. This is the head of the thread about it. I just did this thread to show these funny memes I made. This one's the best. That's a funny. The flower-headed god. Oh yeah, and then this is kind of what it means. The mic quick. Me and Cuts have time-stamped our understanding of endysymbionts, and this picture pinned the tail to the donkey. Huh. So great. Oh, nice. He says he put it in a Hive posting. Post image on Hive and tagged your account to the image. Perfect. Yeah, the LARPer of the century for sure. The flower and cicada on Fauci head are endosymbionts, likely the true nature of virus and gain of function. A reeking parasitic plant lost its body and much of its genetic blueprint. Genome of Sapria Himalaya is rife with gene loss and theft. And if you read this article, that's what it talks about. They oh, and then here is the new one with the magenta Codexter magenta code. Antony Raffauciaceae Variantum MD. And I made this one. It's freaking hilarious. And then, no. The original article. Oh yeah, here's one I posted, World War 2022. Is basically this article. I got a bunch of these new articles. This one even shows some new machines they're using. Sequel AI Hi-Fi needs. Anyways, Happy New Fears. The year in biology. There's a link to his actual channel. Oh, but what I was gonna say was he made this post today, and it was so awesome. It was like showing how the new variation could possibly be. He found it like numerically and did a whole post where he showed it the phi or psi, like it'd be like the psi it would be, and it's because it equals up to what did he showed it? It matched with something with 700 in the numbers and 222 And let me see if I can remember quite exactly how it went. I can't pull it up right now while I'm doing this. Oh, this was the main one. The main article of interest.
For centuries,
see if I can
doctors and scientists have tried to unlock the mysteries of the human brain. How is it organized?
Emotions are centered in the lower part of the brain.
Which areas control different mental functions? And how is it all wired together to generate our subjective psychological experience? For the past 100 years, neuroscientists have approached the brain like map makers, charting its features and activities within well-defined boundaries. The prefrontal cortex is celebrated as the seat of rationality. The motor cortex plans and coordinates movement. The somatosensory cortex and parietal lobes control our perception of the physical world.
Oh, he matched it to that hilarious article about the sheep going into the vaccine.
The occipital lobe processes and integrates visual
making a
information,
syringe.
and the cerebellum helps execute our body's motor commands.
Scientists have looked at the brain through the lens of our beliefs about what it means to be human. So when we're looking at parts of the brain and trying to figure out what they do, scientists are usually using beliefs about what makes a human mind. And some of those ideas you can trace all the way back to Plato.
But researchers are finding problems with this picture. Recent studies of traditional categories of cognitive brain functions, like memory, show surprising amounts of activity that overlap different parts of the brain. So much that the simple map in its strict categories lose their meaning.
The way that we've been conceptualizing the mind doesn't map very well at all to the functions of different systems in the brain.
These kinds of distinctions are very subjective, and it's probably better to try to look at the brain and figure out what its organizational properties are without appealing to these culturally laden categories which aren't respected by the brain.
Russell Poldrack is doing just that. At his lab at Stanford University, he's taking a computational approach to understanding the organizing features of our mind.
If you have people perform, a bunch of different psychological tasks that vary in the psychological functions that we think they engage, let's collect a bunch of data on a bunch of different tasks and ask the data what kind of structure there is.
Poldrack's lab used machine learning to try to isolate neural activity related to memory recall. But rather than simply mapping into memory centers, the data correlated with more general constructs of activity, ones for which we don't yet have names.
What that has shown us in some cases is that things that we might have thought were measuring the same thing really don't seem to be measuring the same thing at all. I think we need to fundamentally rethink how we conceptualize the functions of the brain. Within neuroscience, there's I think a broad agreement that the brain is a computational machine, and we need to understand sort of, what the computations are that it's doing, and that we should be able to ultimately understand psychological function in terms of those computations. Part of the challenge here is we don't really even have a good language for describing those computations other than math. So it raises essentially a question of, whether we're going to end up with models of the brain that are really good at predicting, activity of the brain, but that we can't sort of give human understandable explanations to.
Deep in the jungles of Southeast Asia lives the world's strangest flower. This is the Raffauciaceae arnoldii. It's affectionately known as the corpse flower because it smells like rotting meat to attract pollinating flies. It's the largest flower in the world, with the size and weight of a small child. But the weirdness doesn't end there. Raffauciaceae is not just a flower. It's a parasite.
They require part or all of their nutrient and water from another plant. As a result, we often find alien genetic materials in the genome of a parasitic plant, and many times it's from the host. One of the hypotheses is that the parasitic plant, they steal from the host as a weapon to make them a better parasite.
Liming Tsai is the latest of a long line of biologists to attempt to sequence Raffauciaceae's notoriously unwieldy genome. Biologists struggled because the Raffauciaceae's genome features highly repetitive elements called transposons, known as jumping genes for their ability to cut and paste themselves at repeating intervals. Most organisms silence these elements, but Raffauciaceae is not most organisms.
These highly repeated elements is causing a lot of problem for scientists who trying to assemble genomes. It's basically like putting a jigsaw puzzle, but every piece is identical.
This year, with the help of a bioinformatics team, Tsai successfully created a draft genome for a species of Raffauciaceae. Her findings were even more shocking than biologists had expected.
All plants, they more or less have a similar set of genes. In Raffauciaceae, what we found is that it has lost nearly half of the conserved plant genes, which is really a record-breaking finding.
Tsai also found that 90% of Raffauciaceae's genome consists of repeating DNA, like transposons. That's highly unusual. No one knows why, but the answer may transform our understanding of parasite genomics.
With the advances of these genome sequencing technology, we can explore all weird branches of the tree of life and then understand how rules can be bent by all sorts of really creative strategies. Life is really diverse and nature often surprises.
In the early 20th century, sleep became a popular topic for researchers. The weapon of choice was the newly invented electroencephalograph, or EEG, a machine measuring electrical activity in the brain. This approach produced many insights, but it also set up a bias in the studies that sleep is a neurological phenomenon, and its purpose is located in the brain.
Everybody has thought that sleep is of the brain, by the brain, and for the brain. This is a famous quote by Alan Hobson, who's a brilliant sleep scientist and had made some huge contributions to the field. But it really overlooks the fact that, in fact, we're not brains, we're not walking brains, we're organisms, we're integrated. Everything we do is integrated with everything else.
The first cracks in this brain-centric view started to show when the Swiss scientist Irene Tobler noticed that cockroaches sleep. Since then, we've learned that simpler creatures with less and less brain also sleep. And recently, a new discovery has changed the narrative entirely. This is a hydra. It's one of the simplest forms of animal life. Instead of a brain, hydras have nerve nets, the most basic nervous systems in nature. This year, a group of Japanese scientists demonstrated that hydras sleep, living proof that sleep evolved before brains.
This is all
But if
like
sleep
hinting
didn't evolve
clues.
in and for the brain, what is it for?
More and more scientists are looking
They're
in
hinting.
peripheral tissues and asking how the body can impact
They're
the
giving
brain,
you
and how the brain can
clues.
impact the body, specifically with respect to sleep.
All of
regulation.
these
In my lab,
different
the
things
current
are in this
hypothesis
one
is
little
that there are some situations
clip
that the
here.
brain can't fix itself, but that sleep can lower the activation
The
energy
flower,
to have these
the
circuits
hydra,
begin to find that
the
solution.
neural
So the idea
web,
then is that when you're asleep, you're using less energy, but the energy that you are using, you're using in a
the
different way.
genomics.
That you're supporting functions that you would not be able to otherwise support if you were awake.
The research on hydras is the latest in a
delta,
growing body of evidence that sleep first evolved to help regulate
the sleep.
metabolism and enhance repair, and only later took on brain-related functions.
I really do believe that sleep and metabolism are intertwined. So that's going to be the future.
Oh, I forget what that one was. Oh, here's a good one. This one's funny. Hypochondriasis, aka here's my funny video. This one's my favorite. I think I'm going to leave it there. Peace and love, everybody. Just wanted to share some of that.